Hello everybody, in this video we're going to be looking at my Scribbled sentiments collection. We're going to be using them in a slightly different way to what you're probably used to, in the fact that you can actually shape them around corners. So I'll be taking you through that step by step, and I'm using the Cosmic Shimmer detail embossing powders as well. Such a fine font that you actually do need the detail powders to get the full benefit from them. So let's get cracking. Okay, for this project we're going to be using my Scribbled collection. Now the Scribbled collection has been so popular, so firstly I need to just say thank you to everybody, and secondly I need to say I think it's because it's kind of one of the more simple ones that I've done. What you're looking at there is the birthday verses, which are one of the later additions to this range, and I think it's because you've got that beautiful little scribbled detail, but it's like a handwritten font. So whichever way you use this, whoever you use this style of font for, it works. Whatever your style is, whether you like to do pretty cards or whether you like to do grungy or steampunk, it works. So for every kind of occasion that you come across, this set of stamps will work. So I'm showing you them in their entirety here. So you've got the occasions corners there. You've already seen the everyday corners. And now you're going to look at, these are the original ones that I did. So you've got the petite ones there, the petite occasions. So they are obviously smaller sentiments that are designed to fit in the smaller dies. You get, you know, the ones you get, they've got really ornate centres. And then you've got the original scribbled sentiments that I did first there. So what I'm going to show you with these is I'm going to stamp them and use them with a detail embossing powder, really because these stamps deserve that. It's such a delicate font. You've got that beautiful little scribble detail at either end of the fonts. So they actually do need, or do deserve, the detail embossing powder, so you get a really nice finish from it. Something that you might not have thought to do before is to actually curve them. So yes, the border ones in particular, you can actually turn them around, or an acrylic circle or an acrylic block, and make them a little bit different. So you're taking something that you may have already bought, which is the scribbled sentiments, and using them in a completely different way. So I'll give you a few little hints as we go through this card. So I've already die cut my oval frame, which is used in Sue's double pierced ovals dies, and it's just used, I can't remember which ones I use, but you just make sure you've got enough of a gap when you create your own, that you've got enough room for the sentiment to fit in. Now this is where my fabulous acrylic circles come into their own, because for this kind of thing it's amazing. So I've got my Just For You sentiment there. I'm going to follow the contours of the circle. So starting with the middle letter, which is middle word, which is 4. I'm just going to hold that in place, and I'm just going to bend that around. Yeah. Now remember, these are actually border sentiments. They are not designed. They're not corner sentiments. They're not designed for this. But because of the style and design of them, you can actually manipulate them to go around a corner, which is what we've got there, or around a bend, more to the point. So now I can pop that onto the top and I can just see that that's going to work, and it will work. But I can actually make that a little bit further out. So let's just manipulate that a little bit more. If you try this at home and your stamp won't stick, just give it a clean in the sink. It might mean that your stamp's not sticky enough, which it just means it needs a little bit of a clean. Let's just test that, and that's fabulous. Now I'll give you another little tip. Let me just find a little stamp. Bear with me. This will do, because I've only used the top part of my acrylic circle. The odds are, if you're not a very confident stamper, you could rock. See how that's just rocking? So the way to do that is to just balance the block out. So now it won't do that. It just means putting another stamp on. So we'll use our anti-static bag when I find it, and I'll do the top. It's just to give you the idea. I wanted to give you something different to do with the Scribbled collection stamps, and that's what you've got there. You don't need to be bending your frame either. Perfect medium. So all you need to be mindful of at this point is to make sure you don't get perfect medium on that stamp. So I've just got my fingers over it to cover it up. Just keep an eye on it, make sure that the stamp doesn't move. You should be fine. There you go. And then I'm just going to stamp around the top of there. So what I'm doing is I'm using the scribbled bits on either side as kind of my guide. So once I've got those level-ish, I can stamp that, and I remember I can stamp quite firm because I've got my stamping mat underneath. The balance from the other stamp on there is covering that for me. And we're going to use the detail embossing powder in bright gold. Absolutely fab. Apart from the bit I've got up my fingernail, which I didn't need there. So let's just pop that out of the way. And there you can see, before I emboss that, you can actually see the detail you've got from that font before it's been heat embossed. I will, while you're there, I will try and navigate around so you can see this turning. Just bear with me, I need to just see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'll just wiggle that a little bit. So again, I'm heating from behind. I'm just turning it so I can see what I'm doing. Once I've got it going, it'll be fine. Oh, come on, have we started to melt yet? Yeah, there we go. So I'm heating from behind, as always, just in case you don't know, it's because I want a smoother finish from my embossing powder. I don't like my sentiments to be grainy, which is what you get from heating it from above. It just melts the powder a little bit slower doing it from reverse, and you've got that lovely, lovely detail there. Is that done? Just that bit of the corner? That's it. And then I'll just show you that in more detail now. There you go. So from, which one is this? Just for you. Let's just find that. So from a straight sentiment, we've then gone to a curved sentiment. So from one packet, so from that set of stamps, you think of all the options, think of all the different ways you can use that. You can curve it around corners, you can curve it around ovals or circles. So many different ways to use that. Good value for money. So let's just pop that out of the way. Here's one that I've done earlier because I needed to glitter it before I could pop it onto the card. So what you've got here is you've got birthday wishes, and then at the bottom, just for you. So the two different sets of scribbled sentiments work well together. We could have had just for you on your special day or something like that. I'll give you a little tip. Some of the longer ones, some of the longer sentiments, let me just find one and show you. So here, look, the special birthday wish is quite a long stamp, the one at the bottom there. That probably wouldn't work because it would bend too far into itself, it's too long. So you do need to use the smaller ones. Yeah. And while we're doing that, we will crack on with embossing. So we're now going to, actually, let's do the sentiment next. I've got the little oval. We've got the sentiment stamp there because you're special. Let's take those off. Pop them on there so I don't lose them. Oh, in case you're wondering, the stamp's gone back to its normal shape, look. It's just automatically gone back to its normal shape. That's the one that I had curved. Yeah. Pop that on there. So we're going to stamp the petite sentiment next, if I get the right way up. This is why I love collections of stamps as opposed to just finding random sentiment stamps. I know that the font from this works perfectly with the font from the original Scribbled, the ones we've just used, because it was me that designed them. That's how I want them. And I want you to get that coordinated look as well. Let's just put that on there. So I'm just going in the centre. So I'm ignoring the scribble bits on the outside and I'm going straight in the centre with using the word because as my guide. Just pop that on there. Because the scribbles are extra embellishments. It's not the main part of the stamp. We'll just pop some powder on there. There we go. And we'll just pop that to one side. We'll heat emboss that all in a second when we've got the heat tool out. On the original card, I'll just quickly show you, we've used Sue's Monarch butterfly die. It's the same die, we've got two on there, it's the same die but I've just snipped some off. And the way I've got the gold, I wanted the gold because we've got the gold of the embossing powder on the sentiment. You know what I'm like about matching things. I need it to be the same gold. So the way to achieve that is to emboss it myself. So the die, this is the die. Yeah. Actually, I'll snip those bits off now because we don't need them. So to make a second butterfly from these, you just snip off the extra flourishes. Just snip that off there. And snip that one off there. Just more versatility. So we've now got a different looking butterfly from the same die. We're going to push that face down. It sounds awful, doesn't it? Push that butterfly face down into the perfect medium pad. Obviously with care, because butterflies like to be handled gently. And we're covering it with perfect medium, and then we're going to dip it in the bright gold embossing powder. and then we can do all the embossing in one go. And one layer is usually enough with this. You don't need to do 2 different layers of the embossing. Now, as you know, I do my sentiments from behind, but when you're doing this technique, you don't really need to. So I'm just going to heat this from above and watch how quickly this goes. I'll just move it up here so you can see a little bit better. Yeah, and we'll start in this corner. So this is how quickly this melts. Fabulous. So we've taken a scrap piece of cardstock and made it a metal looking embellishment just from using the perfect medium and the gold embossing powder. Stay where you are. While we've got that there, we'll bring the sentiment across. Oops, and heat that up too. I'll do that from behind. Just do that quickly, I've knocked the edge off. Bear with me. There we go. Just turn it the other way around so I don't burn the skin off the end of my finger. That's it. So that's now all the heat embossing done. So we can start the assembly of this card. So let's pop that to one side, pop that to one side. I've already gone ahead and done the base layer. So I've used the antique, if you're interested. I've used the antique gold Pearl Foundations cardstock as my base layer. This is a Jacobean floral embossing folder that I've used on there. And I've also used the self-adhesive pearl strips. Now if you watch me on TV, you will know that I use them by the bucket loads. Absolutely love the effect we get from them. If I had to put all these individual pearls on, it would never happen. So the fact that we've now got it in an adhesive strip is just so much better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop my frame on first. The embossed background I'll show you in a second. What I've done with this is I've got 2 layers of the foam tape, so it's two layers deep, so effectively 4mm deep, just to give it extra height. I'll just pick that off. Come on. Oh, see, it's getting towards the end of my demo and it's working better. So just pop that on there, straight on there. Oh, beautiful. And then this inside layer that I've got here, just see if you can see all that fabulous detail. That is actually, oh, I haven't got it here. This is actually the blossom background stamp that I showed you on a previous video. So you've got all that beautiful detail of the blossom flowers, and we're going to pop that straight into the center of there with some glue. So you've got the height from the frame on the 2 layers of foam tape, and you've got the background with this beautiful, beautiful blossom stamp. And wiggle that around just to get it to fit properly. Let's just wiggle all the way around. Perfect. And then we'll pop this one onto some foam tape. So it's all about, this card is all about the gold embossing powder. It's about the scribbled stamps and how to use them in a different way. It's all about the gold embossing powder on the background stamp, which is so detailed. And then obviously you've got the same effect from the, oops, bear with me a second, I nearly forgot. The stamps are so detailed, they kind of warrant that. Pearl strips, as I've just mentioned. So I'm just going to quickly go around there. Can you imagine, oops, let's get that bit of muck off. Can you imagine trying to go around a card with all these individual pearls? I would never do it. I would get bored halfway. So really, I should be having my own of these because I use them so often. Let's just snip that bit off. Where did I get to? That one. Just pop that on there. Save those for later. There we go. Oh, my mat's gone a bit skew-iffy. Bear with. Pop that straight in the centre. Oh, it's coming together lovely. So this is the butterfly that I'd already got pre-done. We'll just pop that on the bottom here, just to the side. Just hold that in place for a second. And this is the one that I've just done. And again, I'm just going to shape the wings. know it looks cruel, doesn't it, to do this to a butterfly, but it's worth it. A little bit of glue, and we'll pop this one in the opposite direction. And there we have it. So that should now have settled. And there we go. So now that's a different way to use your Sentimentally Yours Scribbled Collection stamps with the detail embossing powder. You've got the detail embossing powder in the background and also on the butterfly. So you've got lots and lots of detail there from obviously the stamps and the embossing powder. So have a go with different backgrounds, have a go with different sentiments, particularly if you've got the scribbled ones, have a go at going around corners or shaping them. Have fun and let me know how you get on. Until next time, thanks a lot.